Long-term viewers of this channel will know I fucking hate Isekai. I can't stand this genre. Yeah, there's some good ones out there like your ReZeros, your Konosubas. But for the most part, I can't stand this fucking genre, man. But you know what? Feels like every season, gotta go back to that cave. I gotta go in, find the dirtiest, ugliest rock, and just stab myself with it. Always keep that wound fresh. Always keep the anger and the hatred flowing in me like I was a protagonist in these god-awful shows. And when I saw Arifureta was getting its third season, I was like, ooh, this is the one everyone hated on when it first came out for having bad animation, derivative characters, and a generic story. So yes, let us continue to be a masochist like weirdly many of the girls in these shows these days. And then all right. This was on the worst of the year list. I gotta build that hatred, right? I gotta bring up how much I hate this genre, right? I gotta do this, right? I totally hated this, right? Okay, let me make this clear. Arifureta is not a good show. I don't think it cares about being good or bad. I think it just wants to be Arifureta, and I don't know if I respect that or hate that, but I'm here. So let's get into it after like 2 minutes of me rambling like a lunatic, which is what this show will do to you. So, the premise. Arifureta follows, stop me if you've heard this before, a generic Japanese high school boy named Hajime who, when his whole class gets isekai'd, he discovers he did not get cool powers like the rest. He's just the same sort of like wimpy little dork he was in the regular world. But then one day, on a mission with his class, he is betrayed and falls to his doom, and instead of dying, gets access to super magic bullshit that makes him into a cool badass. Yeah, you've seen this a million times, right? And so what's next? He's gonna get his revenge, right? Actually, wrong. This is where I think this show starts to show its true colors. Instead of wanting revenge, Hajime makes the conscious decision he's just gonna move on. He's got a new lease on life. He's gonna just try and get home. Remember when these shows were about getting home instead of just being like an awful person and fulfilling your revenge and anger fantasies? Yeah, that's what these were supposed to be about, and he's just gonna do that. Now, don't get me wrong. You look at this guy, and he is the most mid-2000s edgelord-looking motherfucker you have ever seen. So there's going to be some edgy bullshit here, right? We'll get into that. We will get into that. But while trying to escape from his current predicament, Hajime meets the, 500-year-old vampire lolly Yue, who might be best girl. I don't know if she's my favorite character, but she's very funny. There's something about her always playing it straight and her just general demeanor and attitude to everything that is unusually entertaining. But yeah, no. These two meet and they decide they're going to go back to Hajime's worlds together, and they go off where they meet more girls for the harem, and they go on adventures, and they just kind of go from town to town, right wrongs, learn more about the mysteries of this world, and get one step closer to getting home. And that's kind of all there is to this show. Yeah, there's not really the big complicated political intrigue of other isekai. You get that from time to time, but this show takes things back to a very simple but time-proven idea. Just take some characters, show off their personalities, and just put them in adventure after adventure. And there is something kind of refreshing about seeing that formula here. Because despite all this show's genericness, I actually think the characters are likable. They're all simple, but they're all kind of acted well, and I think they kind of take their simple personalities to just new fun extremes every chance they get. And yeah, there's something just kind of likable about this group and their found familyness and the way they all bounce off each other. And I think in a weird way, it kind of revolves around the bizarre chemical concoction of Hajime. What I think kind of works about this guy is that he's not actually an edgelord. He's what a 12-year-old thinks an edgelord is. Look at this guy. This is what people were posting in 2009 while listening to Evanescence and talking about how cool it would be if they got hit by a truck and sent to another world, which is what he is. There's a joke in this show about this that is so insanely fucking funny, I thought I was going to die. On top of that, the show does this very clever thing of every time he's in Ultra Edgelord mode, they'll do something to deflate it. Rather it's the generic cute kid character wanting lunch and he gets all like goofy with her about it. Rather it's just one of the other girls kind of not being afraid to sass him a little bit. Or even if it's just the fact that he's not afraid to like he's not afraid to express emotion. He's not afraid to say things like, I love Yue with all my heart. Or he's not afraid to like be honest with people about why he thinks things the way he does. And not even always just in an angry way, just in an upfront way. Or even he can take influence from people. I remember when they brought the teacher in and I thought she's going to be insufferable. They were going to make her out to be this idiot. But no. Everything she says to Hajime is treated as valid and he takes it to heart, and you see how he does genuinely care about what she has to say to him. And there's something kind of nice about that. And you see that in all character interactions in this show. Everyone is very honest with each other and is always sharing their emotions in a weirdly healthy way that benefits each other. I'm not going to sit here and say this is a great, tight written show. Oh, motherfuck, no. But it succeeds at what it's trying to do with everyone in a way that I think sometimes gets lost in these kinds of shows. From there, how's everything else about the show? Funny. When this show wants to be funny, it gets zany, it gets wacky, it gets ridiculous. And when you combine that with the edgelord aesthetic, yeah, it can be very fucking funny at times. Even just like the typical like power fantasy shit. Like Hajime can just make whatever the fuck he wants. So he makes Hummers, he makes planes, he makes submarines. Every introduction to whatever crazy thing he makes next is treated with this level of like self-aware irony that, yeah, it's funny and it gives it this kind of unique vibe to it. And like, yeah, that's kind of what stands out about this show. It just tries to be itself, and I think that's kind of commendable. Now, does that make Arifureta good? Probably not, because when these aspects of the show are not happening, God, it's a slog to get through. Whenever it's doing the generic isekai crap, whenever you have the fight scenes, which are not particularly good, the bad CGI monsters are not as prevalent in the whole show as the early episodes made it look, to the point where I wonder if that was just meant to be its own joke. But for the most part, when we are a generic power fantasy action anime, it's pretty bad. In particularly the last arc, I thought was a slog to get through. Also, I don't think the world is particularly interesting, and none of the world factions they introduce I think are particularly creative or compelling. It's like this show was not meant to be a comedy. It was made to be just another isekai, just another like angry edgelord power fantasy show. And then someone at some point, I'm not going to read the manga or the light novel, I don't know if it was at that level or just when producing this show, someone decided, no, we have the courage to be stupid. We dare to be stupid. As Weird Al once said, And you know what? Despite every fiber of my being wanting to say otherwise, I kind of appreciate the show for that. And even if this is not my cup of tea, I actually had fun with this. So despite saying the show is bad and standing by putting it where it was on my worst of list for last year, I am going to say give Arifureta a try. I think its weirdness is worth a shot. So yeah, those were my honest thoughts on Arifureta. Thoughts that I myself don't know if made any sense. But give me your thoughts about this show in the comments section below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Because let's be real here, a ton of people really still don't like this show. But yeah, give me your thoughts about that in the comments section below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for... I don't know what I'm doing next. I'm still just sitting here trying to comprehend Arifureta.